You know that feeling, right? You're deep into a project with Claude, totally in the zone, and then bam, you're stopped dead by that dreaded usage limit. It is so frustrating. But here's the good news. There's a really simple reason it happens, and an even simpler way to make sure it never ever happens again. So let's dive in and get this sorted out for good.
We have all been there. You're on a roll, and then this message pops up and just kills your momentum. Now, you probably think you're just sending too many messages, but the real reason you're hitting this wall, it's something completely different. It all comes down to how Claude's memory works, and a little bit of hidden math.
Get this, your 10th message in a conversation can cost you 11 times more than your very first one. And no, it's not because Anthropic is sneakingly charging you more. It's all about how Claude thinks, and understanding this one number, well, it's the key to unlocking everything.
Okay, so here is the most crucial idea we need to get our heads around. We have to stop thinking in terms of messages and start thinking in tokens. I know, it sounds small, but this one mental shift, it changes absolutely everything. Once you get this, you'll see those usage limits in a completely new light.
So what's a token? It's basically the building block of language for an AI. Just think of it as roughly 3/4 of a word. So a 100-word message isn't just one thing. It's more like 130 tokens. And Claude is constantly counting these tokens, both the ones you write and the ones it generates.
And here is the real heart of the problem. Every single time you send a new prompt, Claude doesn't just read that new message. It actually goes all the way back to the beginning and rereads the entire conversation just to get the context. Every single time.
And his chart just shows how wild that is. A developer actually tracked his usage and found that a staggering 98.5% of his tokens were just being wasted on rereading old history. Only a tiny 1.5% went towards actually generating the new answer. See, you're not using it too much. You're just accidentally making it reread a whole novel every time you ask a simple question.
So how do we fix this? We've got a super simple 3-part action plan. First, we'll go over some easy everyday hacks. Then, we'll optimize your setup for permanent savings. And finally, we're going to dive into some pro-level strategy.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, everyday efficiency hacks. These are some really small changes you can make to your daily workflow that are going to have a massive, immediate impact on how many tokens you're using.
Okay, this right here is the single most important habit you can build. When Claude makes a mistake, our first instinct is to type a new message, right? No, I meant this. Don't do that. That just adds more and more tokens to the history. Instead, just go back to your original prompt, hit that little edit button, fix it, and regenerate. You replace the bad context instead of piling on top of it. You get the same result, but for a fraction of the token cost. It's a game changer.
So building on that, here are 2 more quick wins. First, once a conversation gets long, say 15 or 20 messages, the token cost just skyrockets. So ask Claude to summarize everything you've talked about, copy that summary, and then paste it into a brand new chat. You keep all the important context, but you ditch all the wasted tokens from that long history. Second, batch your questions. Asking 3 questions in 3 separate messages means Claude rereads the history 3 times. But if you ask all 3 in one prompt, it only has to read the history once. It's way more efficient, and honestly, it usually gives you a better, more connected answer anyway.
Okay, on to part 2. This is all about the set it and forget it stuff. These are one-time changes you can make in your settings that will just continuously save you tokens in the background on every single chat from now on.
First up, projects. If you're using the same files over and over, like a brand style guide or a dataset, upload them to a project. What this does is it caches the file, so Claude only tokenizes it one time. Then, every new chat you start in that project can use it without burning all those tokens again and again. Next is memory and user preferences. Instead of starting every chat with "act as a professional copywriter in a witty tone," you can just save that instruction once, and Claude will remember it forever. And finally, turn off any features you aren't using. Things like web search and advanced thinking add a little token overhead, so just keep them off unless you really need them.
And remember, that usage bar you see in your dashboard, it can be pretty misleading. It shows you a percentage, but it doesn't show you the why. It doesn't show you the token math that's happening behind the scenes. And that's exactly why understanding these optimization strategies is so important to keeping that bar in check.
And now for part 3, the high-level strategy. This is all about making smart choices about which tools you use and when you use them, so you can really get the most power out of your plan.
Choosing the right model for the job is absolutely key. You know, you wouldn't use a sledgehammer to hang a picture frame, So use the cheapest, fastest model, Haiku, for simple stuff like formatting text or brainstorming ideas. This saves your precious token budget for the really complex tasks that actually need the power and the higher cost of Sonnet or Opus.
It's also really important to know that Claude's limits work on a rolling 5-hour window, not a daily reset. So if you burn through your limit at 9 a.m., it won't be fully back until 2 p.m. The smart move is to spread your work out into a few sessions through the day. And here's a great little cheat code. You can set up an automated job to ping Claude with a tiny message at like 6 a.m. That starts your 5-hour window before you even sit down to work.
Also, just a quick heads up about peak hours. They're typically from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Time on weekdays. During that time, your usage limit just gets used up a bit faster. Your total weekly limit is the same, but running those big, complex jobs in the evening or on a weekend can really help stretch your play.
And finally, let's talk about a crucial safety net. This last tip isn't about saving tokens, but it's about making sure you are never, ever stopped in the middle of important work.
If you're a Pro or Max subscriber, go into your settings right now and enable extra usage. What this does is simple. If you hit your limit, instead of just blocking you, it'll seamlessly switch to a pay-as-you-go model. You can even set a monthly spending cap so there are no surprises. It just ensures your workflow is never, ever interrupted at a bad moment.
And that's really the big takeaway here, isn't it? By just being strategic about tokens, editing your prompts, managing your chat history, and choosing the right tools, you can get so much more done without ever needing to upgrade your plan. It's all about working smarter, not harder.
So from now on, before you hit send on that next message to Claude, just ask yourself this one simple question. This is the single thought that will guide every action we've talked about. It'll fundamentally change how you work with this AI, and ultimately it will keep you productive and far, far away from that usage limit for good.